Man, we're gonna say what's going on out there, how things going, man. Hey, brothers, sound off. How you doing tonight? How things going with you?
Everything is
Man,
going well, man. Another day, another Thursday to fellowship with you brothers and dive into some different topics. I'm excited. I'm ready.
I don't know, man. Y'all sound a little fatigued there. What's going on, man? It's y'all sound like you little energy boost there. What's happening?
You know
I'm
what,
just real.
man?
I
I'm
just
i I'm i I'm gonna jump on the bait on that one because, to be honest with you, we talked and I told you how crazy my July was. Then it rolled into my August. My mom and dad are celebrating their 51st birthday on Sunday. And I look up like, man, I haven't got them a gift. I haven't went shopping. I haven't done anything. Then my oldest daughter's birthday is next Thursday. Hadn't even really talked to her. Haven't seen she got plans yet. Just I've been grinding so much that I'm getting to that point, man, where I'm losing focus on things on the peripheral. Just getting the work done. So fantastic topic.
Good deal, good deal. T. Patrick, what's happening with you, man?
oh man, I'm making it, maintaining. Can't complain. I mean, I've been working hard, so you know, doing a lot. I'm looking forward to vacation soon. Just relaxing and getting out of the thick of it. So no, this is a very good topic to discuss. So I'm excited to get into it and explore this thing and have this conversation.
Man,
What
I
about you,
see you got
Say?
some new specs there, man. You looking all educated and everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to drop some knowledge, but I mean I don't know how effective I'm gonna be, but I'm at least look good saying whatever it is I say tonight.
That's it, man. We just, man, well, I'm gonna tell you like this. We want to thank everybody that joined Manhood Moments, and that's a part of this conversation. We're every first and third Thursday of the month, and we're through various mediums. And the whole purpose of Manhood Moments is to really just have dialogue about issues that relate to men. In particular, I'll be honest about black men, right? And so that's why we here. That's the whole purpose of it. When we look at manhood moments and no more hiding ministry, it really is about allowing men an opportunity to share their thoughts and share what's going on with them and generate that kind of conversation, man, that sometimes we don't get a chance to engage in. We know that there are a lot of outlets out there for for our women and for our wives and our daughters, but oftentimes for men, there's not this safe space where we can sit and talk. So that's what manhood moments is about, is authentic conversation from your everyday brothers who just want to just talk about things that are going on. We invite those who are joining us today to chime in. Let us know you're here. We're excited to have you. Go ahead and let us know that you're in here. Say good evening or what have you. Also, remember, we do invite people when you put your comments in and we see your comments, we bring them onto the screen. We like to have that dialogue. We like having that energy that our listeners bring to this moment. So today, man, we are getting ready to go into a conversation that I think that we all can understand, right? And that's that conversation about feeling the burnout. When you get to a place in life where all of a sudden, man, you just burnt out, just just don't have any energy, don't know which way to go, don't know how to deal with this situation, man. And so that's what we're gonna talk about today. Brothers, how you doing? This is a check-in. You feeling a little burnout today?
I'm 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 getting there. I'm
Uh-huh.
slowly starting to get there. I took a little bit of time off before my kids went back to school, but I felt that drive to just get work done, and just got to the point where I could just tell that I was about to get burnt out. And even when I took days off, it took me about a day and a half to really not check into work, to put my phone down. But then it wasn't it wasn't enough.
I tell you, yeah,
Is
man.
is is it ever really enough though? I mean, that's the thing. Like you go on vacation and then you feel like you need a vacation from your vacation sometimes. Like I know I've
Man.
felt that where it's like, man, it's Monday already. I gotta.
You know,
I need.
honestly, I don't mind that one. I just think in my line of business, when I take off work, work still piles up. So you feel
Hmm.
like, man, if I take off, I'm gonna get behind. So I might as well keep working and working and working. I don't mind taking a vacation and be so busy doing fun stuff that I need a day to a vacation from your vacation. But it's terrible when you need a vacation from work and you come back and you got the same amount of work, even more to catch back up to for taking those 4 days, 5 days off.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Hey, we got Sonya in, we got brother Greg, Blue Fire brother, Miss Michelle Jackson, my sister-in-law. Hey, we want to. How you all feeling today? Right, share with us what's going on. How you feeling today? Are you feeling a little burnt out? Life has been kind of difficult. It's been kind of hard. We know that right now. We just doing a check-in, see where everybody is. How you feeling out there? So chime in on the chat. Let us know what you're thinking. No, brothers. When I think about, man, this idea of burnt out, I know that you all know that I've been going through a transition, and left from. I had multiple transitions going on. So both my wife and I, we moved from the area that we know to a brand new area up here in Northeast Missouri, and then transitioning in the career field from moving in from our normal place. Um, where I was in the educational side of higher education. I was in the academic side. Now I'm over in the diversity, that side of the house. And that was a transition, taking on a new role and restructuring a department and all that, man. And I'm telling you, when I tell you the burnout is real, right? And working long days, everybody want to meet you, and you want to take out time to actually see what's going on. No, man, it's just a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot that comes with the responsibility. So, can you feel me? What about yourselves?
I mean, 100%. I mean, I really feel like burnout is inevitable. I don't think that I feel like if you're not doing anything, then maybe. But even people who don't do anything seem to burn out. I mean, there's just something to do. Always something, mentally or physically, or what I mean, physiologically, that's pulling at you. And so I think, kind of something important what Tony said is that, he's not there, but he's recognizing it. And sometimes I think
Hmm.
that's it. Why do we have to get to a point to where we keep going and going and going, pushing and pushing until we get to the point of burnout, and then
Hmm.
now we're dealing with either self-destructive behavior, or we're now dealing with depression or something like that. And so to me, that's it. I know, like I've been saying, my low fuel light's been on for a while, right? You know what I mean? but
Uh,
but but I know but I know my car, right? So you
mhm.
know what I mean? Or at least I think I do. So I'm like, hey, I got a little bit more to go. So
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at, what I mean, a couple of weeks, and then I'll be off for a little bit. I think I really recognized it when Memorial Day came up. Well, I think I knew it before then, but Labor Day, that's what I mean. And my boss was like, "Hey, you know what I mean? I'm hoping that we can take a 4-day weekend." And before he finished the sentence, I'd already put in my request for that Friday off, so I could have like 4-day weekend. I was like, "Yeah, my body just, what I mean? It's time." But I think
Uh-huh.
that's the key, is recognizing the signs, seeing what's happening before you get to the point to where you shut down, because I felt like that was the case. I had, work, and then I had personal things pulling at me, and it's
Hmm.
just like there's so much responsibility. It's like, where do you say no? What do you put down? What do you let down, in order for you to, you know do self-care, I guess. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a big point there. And T Bird, you going to say something?
No, it's just exactly what you're saying, because you use let's use a car analogy,
Hmm.
and it's we look at, okay, maybe my I need to get gas, so you pull over and get gas. But that could be the equivalent of you're tired, you need to get some sleep. You need to
Hmm.
take your car in for a tune up, and that's when you need to take that break, that vacation. So similar to a car, you might overheat the car and rest it, but you still have to do the maintenance to keep that car and get that tune up. And we're
Right,
no
because right
different.
now it ain't nothing but the carburetor. Ain't nothing but the carburetor.
But you know, and brother Faith, brother Jeremy said, he said, you know, burnout is real. Work, life, responsibilities as a provider, it's a lot. He says, I definitely make sure that I take consistent vacations and make sure that I have open and honest conversations with my helpmate to help me to deal with the stress of my life. And then we have our brother, forgive me right now, the name is slipping my head, but Widowmaker, he know what I'm talking about. He says, like T Patrick said, people need to be aware that there is a thin line between burnout and depression. Very, very true comments, man, and very true. So when we're talking about this idea, and we've been given this car analogy about looking at ourselves kind of like vehicles, right? And so understanding when our fuel light comes on, understanding when we're having, you know, those issues, our tires start to run down low or what have you. Why do you think it is that we try to push ourselves be past, you know, the past the level that we know is healthy for us as men?
For
I
me,
mean, to
it's
use. Go ahead, T. Patrick. Go ahead, bro.
yeah. For me, it's responsibility, right? I mean, there's so many demands. I'm ambitious, so I put a lot of demands on myself, a lot of pressure on myself. So some of it's self-inflicted,
Hmm.
and I've really been working with that, to try to understand, like, okay, what what is my goals, and is my goal very ambitious? I've set a three I'm 2 year in year 2 of a 3-year plan,
Hmm.
and I've been crushing these goals, right? But I haven't taken time to really slow down. So I think it's being having the responsibility, and then, like I said, there's extra needs,
Hmm.
from family members, friends that are pulling. And I realize I'm empty. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have nothing else to pour. Like, generally, if you text or call me, I'm gonna get with you within a matter of hours, right?
Hmm.
But lately, hey, it's been like, I haven't seen it. I'll get to it when I get to it, which is not me. So, like I said,
I think T Patrick was starting to have some issues with his internet. We saw that happening, so we know right now that those are things that's going on. So we got one of the comments that said we have enough time and strength to do everything that God puts on our plate. The challenge is figuring out what He put on our plate and what I put on my plate. And I kind of think I know who to respond, even though we don't see the name on there. I think that's Brother Harold who joined us last week, and so he gave us some really insightful thoughts. No, and so so man, when we think about that, when we talk about enough time and strength to do everything that God put on our plate, what's your thoughts about that?
I mean, I hear the question, but it just seems like there's different things that pull at us that stack up on our plate. So
Mm,
I get it where it's what God puts on our plate, but we just have to find that balance of prioritizing our priorities. And that's a word I kind of
hmm.
use at work, but you still get pulled from different directions. I think it's a matter of saying no to certain things
Hmm.
and deciding what's most important. But that's what I got for the question.
And that's very true. I'm gonna welcome back, man. You good?
man, my internet said that'll be quite enough. I don't know. I'm still. I don't know what's going on with this internet. It does it at least 3 or 4 times a day.
we figured you be back with us in just a minute, and that's how you all know that, man. This is live, not Memorex, man. Life just gonna happen, right? And so we had a comment, and I'm gonna share it with you, T. Patrick. It says, and I think this is from Brother Harold. I'm not quite sure. It didn't really say, but we have enough time and strength to do everything that God puts on our plate. The challenge is figuring out what He put on our plate and what I put on my plate, right? And so we were just kind of having a little bit of dialogue about that idea, trying to determine which one is from us and which one is from God. What you think? We can hear you
You froze
somewhat.
actually.
Yeah, you
Gotta blink your
just
eyes or
kind of.
something. Move your glasses. I think you frozen again.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. I think this is a good space, though. As always, we try to do some things that will educate. So we want to share our screen for just a second and just bring you into this little video. So if you allow us about a minute and 58 seconds, that's how long this video is, right?
I think burnout manifests itself differently in different men. In some cases, it's physical. Recent statistics have shown that 77% of Americans have symptoms, physical symptoms associated with stress. So it might be palpitations, it might be breaking down, it might be just achiness all over, a lot of physical symptoms. There's emotional symptoms. For men, it's not usually weepiness, it's usually anger, irritability, bad temper, often irrational. You're kind of lashing out at people and people going, whoa, what's that all about? And you can't even explain it either. Mentally, yeah, a lot of men find it really difficult to focus, concentrate, very distracted, often obsessive in their thinking, one thing, round and round and round and round. Negativity. Socially, men withdraw when they are moving along that spectrum of stress, anxiety, burnout, depression. They withdraw from their wives, or children, friendships, become quite isolated. Morally, men become very vulnerable. It's been shown that the part of the brain associated with willpower actually shrinks when we are stressed and depressed and anxious, and therefore you're really vulnerable to temptation. And of course, spiritually as well. All of these things have a knock-on effect, and eventually, yeah, devotional life is suffering, closeness to God is gone, and lack of interest in the church and serving the Lord. So there's a lot of damaging effects, and maybe men might hit one or two of these bases. Some will hit them all, but even if you hit one or two, it's time to take action.
It's a lot, brothers. It's a lot. And so when we talk about, um, let's start this conversation off. Let's start this conversation off when we look at, because he mentioned several areas, the impact of stress. So he talked about physical symptoms, emotional issues, mental issues, social issues such as withdrawing morally and spiritually, right? And so he brought in a lot of he brought in a lot of discussion there. So yes, start off with when we're feeling overwhelmed or we're feeling burnt out, and how it impacts us spiritually. And so feel free, share your thoughts, share what you're thinking about, those who are joining us through the different social medias, all right? But I know for myself personally, when I am burnt out, when I'm dealing with burnout, it does impact me spiritually, right? I can feel that I'm not as connected. It's like I'm wore out. My mind is wore out. It's like I can't focus in. I don't have that ability to pull in and actually, get in the scriptures like I normally would, or even sometime even the focus for praying. And when I look at spiritual, it's not just about the spiritual acts or our duties, spiritual duties, but it's also has to do with being in tune, or inner peace within myself. So I can feel like my inner peace or my inner connection within myself is just off. Right. So anybody else, and you dealt with that?
I have jump in real quick. Who knows what this internet's gonna do? But I I, I'm glad you spoke about that. I've been having not a hard time focusing from perspective, right? Because I learned I went depression some years ago to really things down. So like I take a lot of breaks throughout the day, and break my work up into pieces that I find more functional. So like I may complete a task and then I go, now that I work from home, go in the kitchen, make me something to snack on, and you know what I mean. I might look at TV or something like that for a second and then hop back into something else. But when it comes to I don't I haven't felt for a couple of weeks as connected as I am spiritually, and that's been bothering me. So it's interesting to hear you say that from that perspective. And so my thing is, all right, let me focus, pray more. I know I need to read a little bit more. So you know what I
Mhm.
mean, from that perspective. But I was kind of thinking about that last night, because it's like every night I'll fall asleep about midnight, and then I'll wake up about 3 o'clock, and then I'll be up from
Mhm.
3 to 5, and then I'll sleep from 5 to 7:30. You know what I mean? With my alarm go off. It's been like that for a while. So I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
I've kind of gotten to that point. Like, okay, I know mentally I'm slowing down. I haven't disconnected, but that's what'll happen if I continue to go
Yeah.
any further. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can pick up on like the small spiritual stuff, because in the morning I would thank God, like, thank you for making me wake up, allow me to wake up this morning, say my prayer before I go to bed at night, and then when the stress starts happening, those things don't happen. And then I find myself making excuses not to go to church, like, well, I'm tired, I'm this and that. So to me, it impacts me spiritually in those areas. But I can look at the other question too, is I can look at, after experiencing situational depression and burnout, I can
Mhm.
there's some subtle differences that, like, I notice that I have, where
Okay.
when it comes to situational, like, depression, it is, I really want to sleep a lot more. I'm just tired, physically spent. When
Mhm.
I'm burnt out, it is a lack of focus, whether it's at
Okay.
work, lack of focus, just can't get the task done, s- slows down my solving problem process,
Mhm.
snapping short with my kids, short with my coworkers, just find my temper coming back. I grew up with a temperature, I mean, a temper,
Mhm.
controlled it over time, but I can tell whenever my temper starts coming up, I know that I'm getting to the point where, like, I'm feeling burnt out. Not really stressed
Mhm.
out, but just, I mean, depressed, but definitely burnt out.
Yeah. I find, man, the older I get, and I wish I had known this even when I was younger, but the older I get, I find that how important it is to stay connected spiritually, right? But it staying connected spiritually comes along with some additional challenges, which is how we define spirituality by cultures, how we define spirituality by religious standards, and all those other things, right? Instead of just having just the opportunity or the freedom to just have a relationship with my Creator, on the terms that He and I have set. And so and not based off of this set of rules or regulation, things like that. And sometimes that in itself can be a sense or a point of burnout, right? Because we're trying to follow this that and the other, trying to do all these legalistic um, or try to meet the expectations of what maybe culture may say about that. And so, where it would or should be a place of peace to be able to enjoy that time and that period of communication and connection, that also comes and it adds to that stress.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure, especially from maybe a cultural or relational standpoint, where people have expectations of you. And that's why I've been fighting that for you for the last several years. Is all
Mhm.
right, I'm going to be authentically me, and you going to get me, all right? And you tell whatever story you want to tell yourself about who I am. uh,
Mhm.
I'm not responsible for that. Okay. Now if you go too far, you'll find out, because yeah, Teron has a temper that he knows how to control. He also, has been able to say some things that cut pretty
Mhm.
deeply too, which I'm also trying to work on. So it's a lot of things like that, that I'm trying to manage. I'm trying to communicate better, trying to respond better because I can control what I do. It's just frustrating, especially when I have. I can sense I'm talking to somebody and they're judging me based upon what their expectation is. And the thing is, you don't even have enough wherewithal to really engage and find out, you know, what the deal is. You just want to validate whatever it is you told yourself. And
Mm,
that becomes challenging, especially when people close to you do it. Because these family, I can't cut them off. I guess I could, but you know what I mean. But it's like,
hmm.
okay, let's talk about whatever the situation is,
Okay.
and I've been pushing that with people, and
Hmm.
people, you can't make people talk, you know what I mean, or discuss certain things, and so you dealing with stuff like that as well. uh and it's like, okay, where do you draw the line, right? There's all these expectations, and some of it is, I'm not going to respond to that text or this until I'm ready, because of the fact that there's an ask. And the
Yeah.
bottom line is like, okay, I sometimes I can't take the offload of whatever toxic conversation we're getting ready to have that
Uh-huh.
helps you, because that energy goes somewhere. Yeah, no, I don't want that. You can't leave that here. You got to take that with you. You know what I mean? But people will come and they'll try to just drop it off at your doorstep and be like, "Here, deal with it." And I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I wasn't even involved. I don't even know all the players. But now you feeling all good, and I'm sitting here like, dang, I feel drained after having that conversation. So it's
Sure.
been a lot about balance, man. Is what I've been
Mm,
trying to find, and I think I'm a little. I've been pushing so hard, and then those things are happening. Um, and I'm like, okay, how do I manage this with
mhm,
individuals and the people closest to me to make sure that I'm not snapping, but I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna take some time for myself, or I'm gonna back off, or I can't broach that conversation right now. I'm just
mhm.
not even in the mood. I might even be in a bad mood. You didn't even call and check and see if I was okay. You just came and started unloading, like, let me tell you about, and I'm just like, look, I've stopped some people like, look, I can't even do it today. Like, yeah, I feel you. It's messed up. I'm sure whatever you go tell me is messed up, but that's about all I can give you right now.
That's it. Hey, we got some comments. It said, brother Edward says, I think we do because of life expectations have been so low for us for such a long time when we were unaware, that now we go overboard to prove that we are aware and capable just to move forward and be productive in life. We have to find balance and priority, use wisdom, purpose, and truth in our pursuit of life, faith, relationship, work, etc. He went on to say, know your worth, live your worth, and present your worth to God, yourself, and others. Do what you need to do for God, yourself, and others. Know yourself, challenge, relax, take time for yourself. When we do, we are better for God, ourselves, and others. Seek peace always in God for self, and with, and for others. And then there was a question that was asked on the screen. It said, how do you know the difference between burnout and depression? Both expand across all platforms of life. And so that's one of the questions we got, and we'll get to some of these questions that's currently in the chat. So, how do you know the difference between burnout and depression? And so, I'll take a stab at it. My first thought is, when you're thinking about the idea of burnout, right? You can kind of take that back to maybe and identify where that burnout is, that area of burnout. In my experience, I could see the difference between being burnt out because after I take a break, right, whatever that break is required, whether it's for a weekend or whether it's for a week, sometimes I had to take a real spontaneous break and be like, I'm done, I'm not doing anything else, and I separate from whatever I'm doing and give myself that time, and then I can find a place of refreshing. When I've experienced depression, bouts of depression, that was a lot different because there was no real solution. I couldn't vacation it away. I couldn't, sleep it away. It was like it was there. It stayed on me. It was difficult to be able to to function, to focus, and just some of the real small, tedious tasks. I mean, just those little tasks were very difficult to do because this mood or I would say this place of depression in my life just wouldn't allow me. I mean, I would just sleep all day. Um, and although I see some similarities with irritability, it was a different type of irritability when I was dealing with depression. So, what's your thoughts, fellas?
Well, just really looking at some I gather as far as the definition of burnout, it's a collection of different physical, emotional, mental reactions to prolonged stress and overworking. So there is some overlap because when you're stressed out, you're going to be physically exhausted. You're going to have headaches. You're going to have stomach aches. And but when you also look at burnout, you're also looking at when we think of burnout, normally it is work. And so you're just feeling overwhelmed at work, um, negative feelings about work, about going to work, or you're thinking about work all the time. And also you're neglecting your own needs. It happens on both sides.
Hmm.
Looking at looking at that, when you just look at work, it is, are you an overachiever? Are you working too hard, too prolonged? For example, in August, I mean in July, I told my family I got a busy plate. I'm gonna work some 12-hour days all month long. So that was clearly me trying to knock out every assignment. Everything was thrown my way, and I was working some long hours. And I knew once August 1st hit, I should be able to breathe a little bit. And of course, that didn't happen. Just
Mm.
it's just me working hard, and it's really moving toward getting promoted. So when we throw in some of it, is it something where like, are we adding to ourselves? Is it where God wants us? So
Hmm.
I struggle with that because it's this is the next path for me. And is God leading my steps here? Is this what He wants me to do, or not? So I kind of going around, but that's kind of how I feel about kind of merging that other question too. But I just know that when it comes to burnout too, to me there's a lack of interest. There's just a lack of motivation. And like you said, I'm saying going through depression, situational depression. I remember I
Hmm.
lost my appetite, started losing my hair a little bit because I was just stressed out. But when it comes
Hmm.
to burnout, I don't have those issues, but I don't want to work out. Or like I said, I don't want to get out of bed. Or I'm
Hmm.
sitting there replaying how much work I have to do. So
Hmm.
that's kind of
Yeah.
how I look at both.
And I think that, I guess yeah, I like to categorize everything. So, you know what I mean? I think is kind of a state of being, while depression is a state of mind. And I think stress is kind of the conduit to it, because of the fact that we experience stress, we start to burn out, we continue to push forward because that's what we're taught, right?
Yeah.
We're men, we got to be tough. You know what I mean? You got to suck it up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You can't cry about it. Sometimes there's no outlet, but I would even say it's limited to work, because work for me is fine, right? I
Hmm.
mean, and I know we talked about this on Sunday during our pre-session, where I'm not having issues with performance at work. I'm meeting all my deliverables, in fact, exceeding them based upon the conversations that I'm having. And then I just got handed a major project just yesterday, that I'm super
Hmm.
excited about. Man, it's cool, to be able to be point on this project. And you know what I mean? I'm working towards my goal of, elevation. I'm excited about that, but it's the other factors that are leading to it, and I think it's a bigger thing. I work from home now. I didn't
Hmm.
mind working 15, 16-hour days when I worked in a station, when I had, all the people around me, but now I'm
Hmm.
at home. It's just me in my living room, and I go from my bed to my living room, and my living room to my kitchen. I mean, and I've developed a routine, because it's helped me move from going to being. So I'm in the house all day most of the time. So I've started to break up the monotony by going to work at, Starbucks or whatever. I'm sick of spending money on coffee, but I mean, it's just so I don't have to sit in the house. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in HR, so I like people. I'm a people leader. So I do a lot virtually and it's cool, but at the same time I think that's a new thing to get, you know, used to. And so I think that those are stressors, change, managing change. I manage change all day, every day. And where I work, it's all about change. So if there's very little routine that you can get into, because as soon as you get into a routine, we've got something else we've got to do that's going to that causes a change to that. So we're constantly iterating and changing, and all of that's due stress that I didn't necessarily have in my other job. It was, I knew what I was going to do day to day. I mean, with
Hmm.
the drama, yeah, but day to day I kind of knew. But like I say, I'm in a different space, different situation, where all of these things are just a perfect storm that I've got to figure out a balance to manage it, which I'm doing. And that, because like I say, I could go to work and I don't, I got 15 people lined up to talk to me, so I don't have time to check my phone. But guess what? I'm here on the computer,
Hmm.
so I can look. Text message go off, phone rings. Guess what? So I'm more connected now. So I've got to figure out what to do with that.
Hmm. We got a couple comments that there are similarities, the two between when we're looking at the question between depression and burnout. And Brother Edward said they are similar. They're so similar that it can be challenging to know the difference between burnout. It's more so about the physical, and mental depression is more spiritual and mental. They both involve the heart, my body, my soul, and the spirit. I've been through both of them, having to come through a divorce and now being a single father. I can tell you that both of them came to play in my life. I had a lack of energy, strength, or will to do a lot of things. At some point, I had to pray and ask God for help. Then and only then should I begin to understand that I needed to talk and I needed to cry, I needed to share, I needed to pray, and at times I just needed someone to just allow me just to have time, right? And then Brother Widowmaker said, "It is my understanding that burnout is being overwhelmed or tired about the situation, and that is relieved when the situation changes. Depression is an illness that needs professional treatment." Very true, very true. And if any
Thank you.
brothers out there that's
Thank you, fellas.
experiencing some depression, we would suggest that you do get treatment, right? That you get some counseling, that you get some assistance in it, because those are things that can begin to grab hold to us. And once we get to a point of hopelessness, that's when we do drastic things, right? And so depression has a way of messing with us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physiologically, the whole nine. So we need to get that help. As men, we cannot be afraid to go out there and seek the help. Right. So make sure you seek professional help. That was a question that's on the table. The question is this: it says, please discuss the relationship between stress and faith. Between stress and faith. And one of these days we're gonna get the questionnaire. We're gonna get him on that to the table. So he can, because that brother has some wisdom. And so he asked us, he gave us a question: discuss the relationship between stress and faith. Right?
Hmm.
Oh,
Jump on
That's
it,
a good
Saint.
one. Yeah,
okay.
You,
one of y'all, because
you jump
that's
on
a
it,
tough one
Saint.
there.
All right. So when we're talking about the relationship between stress and faith, right? So when we understand faith, faith means that there are things, or when we're looking at faith from my understanding, and the producer over here laughing as I bring my thoughts together. So faith lets us know that there is a power that's greater than our ability. And so that causes us to really stretch out and not look at what we're capable of doing, looking at our own resources, looking at our own, strength or wisdom or knowledge. But we have faith and we begin to believe. In this context, the faith is in a higher power, in our God, our creator, right? And knowing that he is able, because that's the pronoun I identify my savior as. And so I'm a DEI expert, so all these conversations I'm just bringing into the picture. So, right, and so when we realize that that God is actually in control of our day to day activities, right? So we have faith to believe that He is not going to put more on us than what we can handle, right? And if we're at a place where we're beginning to stress out, then we may need to evaluate. Maybe we've taken on some areas or put ourselves into some positions that don't align with what His will is for us at this time, at this season, right? And so, in actuality, the opposite of faith is disobedience, right? And so, and when you think about the idea of disobedience, and disobedience is not always just knowingly doing some things. Sometimes what God give us, He'll give us understanding. He'll give us something and say, okay, you need to take a break. Right? And we don't take that break. We don't take that wise wisdom. It don't come with this loud, resounding, take a break. What it does is this soft whisper that's saying, okay, you can kind of see right now, you running on E, right? But we instead what we do is we just push past it because of course we know better. And then we get to that point where we're stressed, we're overworked, we're burnt out. And then when we really stop and we think about it, there was that point that if we had just trusted God and said, okay, I know I got this project to do, but I need to take this break to be my best, to be able to complete it. That's the essence when you ask me of trusting and believing that God is in control. All right. So I've given you all my thoughts. What's your thoughts?
I think stress is like that external factor, that pouring down rain that causes you to run to your vehicle, and I think faith is the vehicle to overcome stress. So I think that we sometimes need that, or life gets too much, that we have to lean on that faith, because I found in instances I'm not strong enough to overcome that feeling, so it drives me to my knees. It drives me to the book. Hey, God, I need clarity. Give me some clarity, Lord. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And or whatnot. And I mean, it's a great stimuli, I think, to drive me to that point, of let me exercise this faith. Maybe we look at stress as something similar to overeating and we getting fat. Then we got to go work out with faith. I mean, like any way you look at it, but I think it's kind of cause and effect. The cause is stress causes us to go towards faith to get past it. I had to ask. I say, Lord, I'm empty, and I could feel I was empty. I literally could not put forth another thought, which is why I say, all right, I'm starting to disconnect from people, and I need to figure out how to create that balance because I'm literally empty. I don't have anything to give, and some of the questions are very simple, and it's like I just don't have the energy, or maybe the I don't have the motivation to even pick up the phone and type whatever I need to type, or pick up the phone and say whatever I need to say, even if it's not a very long conversation. I just had to pray, Lord, fill me up, because I think that's what we're supposed to do as Christians is, you know, we give our gift away, to
Hmm.
everybody. But how can you do that as a human, because you gonna empty yourself out, and I've heard that you have to recharge from the source, and stress is that driver to me sometimes.
Hmm. See, Bird, I
For
see you thinking, man. That's that deep look. What's on your mind?
for me, it just honestly it gave me two different thoughts, where it took basically two periods for me to like really sit back and be like, man, you have to trust God. You have to let Him lead your steps and just have faith in Him. Because I got laid off years ago, and the job was stressful. I didn't like it. I went to work unhappy. I got
Mhm.
laid off. Was looking for a job, looking for a job. I remember my back was hurting. I felt like, man, if I get a job, how am I going to work? Because my back is just in knots. But then I got my last unemployment check, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? job offer within like that week. And it was God pretty much pushed me to stop working while I was working, because I would have kept on working, probably been stressed out and mad until I got sick and tired, sick and tired. But he went ahead and said, "No, I'm gonna get you laid off," and there you go. So I was stressing about the job, stressing unemployment. At a certain point, I put my faith in God. And then even recently, same thing. I'm working and working and working hard at work, and something happened and go my way. But God showed me, I got this door open up for you. So why you stressing over this little thing over here? But I got something else for you. So there are situations that happen for me to be like, man, this is where my faith is. Like I say, I thank God and for waking up and everything that He's given me. But there's certain times when He reveals Himself, and it's like that's what faith is about. That I
And
didn't
what I,
see it. So what's that?
I was gonna say, and what no, what I was gonna say is, what I have learned is when God tells you something, you better do it.
For
I'm as
sure.
hard, I'm as hard headed as they come, but hey, God has shown me, hey, oh yeah, right, all right, watch this, and so you know what I mean. Hey, I'm on it. You ain't got to tell me too many times, God. Oh, you want me to move? Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
And it's, to me, it's just those little things, because um my job sends me up to where Saint lives at now. But my coworker had the route before, and we're in the car together driving 3 hours up north, and he had Marvin Sapp. He has his hands on me. That is my song from that day on to now. That if I'm feeling bad, man, I play that song. He has his hands on me, and man, I get chills. It just makes me feel so much better. And it's like I was in the car at the right time, right song, and it was a shuffle. So you had hip hop songs, R&B, and then that one came on. I'm like, that's my song. So even
Yeah.
when I feel bad, I throw it on going to work before I go to bed. If I need it, that's my pick me up.
Man, we got some activity going on our social media sites, man. We got brother Ryan Smith says, "Sorry, I'm just joining, and we're glad that you're here." He says, "My grandfather taught me a car would not just break down without giving you some signs. So you have to be in tune to listen." He says that is no different than your body when it comes to burnout. But when we have normalized so much an attempt to satisfy popular opinion, that's when we think pushing through is better than addressing it while it is still manageable. That is so true. We want to catch it at the place where it's still manageable, because I don't know if you like me as a man, right? And things are just snowball, 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 snowball to the point to where it is unmanageable. Right. And so and that's a very critical point. Thank you for that. We thank brother Kevin Kev was watching what's going on, Square. And then brother Widowmaker says, sometime I remind myself that my part God won't do and God part I can't do. Mm. I'm gonna say that one more time. He said
Please do.
my part, he said that my part God won't do and God's part I can't do. He said, I just hope I realize the difference before it's too late. Very deep, man. And then so we got another comment from Brother Smith. He says stress is built in stress. One second. It says stress is built in, not acknowledging yourself, strengths, needs, your capacity, etc. Living within your means, financially, time wise, family. And it's easier than living under the values of others, not in your own situation. The greatest machine ever made is the human body. And when you decide not to listen to your body would take charge, and it would never, and is never down on your time schedule. Very good. And so, brother Kevin Kev says, and also we want to say, give a shout out to the men of ABC. He says that I also work in behavior health. Faith is believing in something greater than yourself, and that's God. He says, I'm recovering alcoholic 9 years, sober this Christmas. So I always believed in faith, but never activated it. I still have to keep it going. And so that's critical when we're thinking about the idea of activating our faith and really making sure that we are doing in line with what brother Whittamaker said. We do our part and let God do His part. We got a couple comments over here we want to bring to the screen, and so I am she said that I think we validated our reactions to being depressed, burnout versus addressing it. That's very true, especially in the case of men, right? We validated, it's, hey, I can deal with it. I can deal with it. And sometimes it's the fact that we just don't have a space. We don't have a safe space where we can come out and talk about it, right? We have
Yeah,
a safe
100%.
space where we can have this dialogue and really be able to share that. Look, right now, I'm just not myself, because we don't know quite why we're not ourselves. I know for myself, I don't know why I'm not feeling myself. So I don't have a bunch of answers. I can't answer this long list of questions to be able to explain to you why I feel the way I feel right now. I just know I feel that way. And so I just need, for me, I just need that space to be able to actually take some time and get to know, where I am, right? And that space actually means just being patient with me to allow me to be able to process it. And then I'll be able to share with you what's going on in my head or what have you, because I have to first find out, and normalize it, because it don't look like around me that others are dealing with this. So now it seems like I'm on my own dealing with this situation, when in essence there's probably two, three, four, five more people in my circle that may be dealing with the same issue.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
so validating comes with really what we just encouraging ourselves. Go ahead, brother T. Patrick.
Yeah, I think sometimes, just to kind of take it on, I think, looking at it from a validation standpoint, some people think it's a badge of honor, maybe be, oh man, I got through that. But did you?
Hmm.
Did you? Did you find just some sort of way to cope with it, and it's still there, and and so you got through it for the moment. When I went through my point of depression, I really did some soul searching to understand what the root cause was, and deconstruct those aspects of my life so that I would not repeat that, right? Because
Hmm.
again, it was living up to expectations, and feeling like that I was living somebody else's life. This ain't what I wanted. This is I'm just here so I don't get fined, I guess. It's kind of how I felt, right? And
Hmm.
so I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again. And so, I've become very, very self-aware. So I don't necessarily need the time to try to figure it out. I know what's going on because, I'm watching it. I'm watching for it. I can
Hmm.
articulate it. I can say it. I said this weeks ago, like, dude, you need to find time to get on vacation before people start getting on my nerves. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like I could feel it coming. And
Yeah.
so now I'm learning to healthily say, look, I'm just not in that headspace to have this conversation or to do this, or I can't do that. Let me articulate. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just telling you I can't deal with this right now. I
Hmm.
will, because yeah, I don't owe nobody any kind of explanation. But the bottom line is, not people don't know what I'm going through unless I tell them. And I'm not just
Hmm.
going to sit there and say, "Hey, I'm depressed or I'm burning out." You know what I mean? I haven't gotten to that level of maturity yet.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Barry, what
Also,
you thinking?
some I was what I was thinking really is based on the question. I think just as men, we're taught to, as you said, suck it up. I think we've all memorized the poem "Don't Quit." When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, we're taught to just keep going and going and going and going and going, and we keep when we should heed to the signs. We're socialized to keep going. You don't cry. You may chill for a second, but you still need to knock whatever activity out. So I think it's part of our male socialization that we're not supposed to cry. We just suck it
Mm.
up and we keep going. You feel stressed out? Okay, cool. Go get some sleep. Now get up and do
Hmm.
this work. I mean, I just think that that's kind of how men have been socialized, and it's at least people, my peers, and like we've all kind of been socialized with the exact same thing. You just keep going,
Hmm.
keep going, and keep going. So you can pray
Yeah.
on it and stuff, and if you listen to God, listen to what the Spirit tells you, then you'll slow down. But if not, you just keep. going.
And
You know, I was thinking about that. So when we talking, right, we've had a lot of conversation tonight about the relationship of man with God, right, and our Creator. But then we also sometimes we're not thinking about what those roles and expectations are that's been placed on us, right? To be a protector, to be a provider, to be a lover, to be, the shelter. When you're in the space, when you're in a religious or Christian culture, those are the things that they're telling you. If you're not doing those things, right? If you're not providing for your family, then as the scripture says, you're worse than an unbeliever, right? And so now, when you condition and you know that all these responsibilities exist, and so now when you feel you're in a place where you are burnt out or overwhelmed or stressed out, and and you need to take time for yourself, you actually feel like that's less of a man, or you're not really living up to your full responsibility, because of course, no, you will hear the things like, well, God don't take breaks, God don't take rest, God just go through it, right? So now it is this whole, it's this it's I'm trying to find a word that's going through my head right now. It's like these competing ideologies about what a man is. It's so, is a man that just that goes through, and he's the protector, he's the covering for everything, or is a man that goes through and he has like issues like anybody else? No, so I don't know.
yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
hey, Tony.
Okay, I want to jump on a quick question because it's a thought that I had last year. The question is, or the comment is, I am burnt out wondering if my black children are safe while entering adulthood. And if you all listened to the podcast last year, last week, I went to predominantly white high school. And I had burnout last summer after George Floyd, when Aubrey was killed, murdered. And I was that black person that they kept coming to. Well, Bird, why this? Bird, why that? Bird, why are they looting, burning stuff down? And I had to keep telling them, hey, this is why. This is why. And one guy, I mean, we're really good, and we still talk now, white guy on the wrestling team, and he was just asking questions. Well, why do they talk about guys getting pulled over for no reason, things like that? And I said, man, when we wrestled in high school, I said, if I ate the table with my cousin Harvey, a black male, two other black wrestlers, I said, we were always seated last. We were always served last. I said, that of course, they're going to interact with the coaches. They're going to go to y'all. And I said, y'all never noticed that stuff, but that's something we got. I said, y'all know me. I don't complain about stuff, but we got pulled over for no reason. And so when things happen about the murders and stuff, I work in law enforcement. So I got the knee in his back and he should have did this and he should have did that. But I'll be honest, I teared up last year because I felt so overwhelmed answering everybody's questions, and it's on the dog on TV. So I feel the
Mhm.
same way for my own black children and other black children. But yes, I was very burnt out last year. Teared up. Didn't want to go to work. Didn't want to answer the question because I'm still getting asked those same questions. It's tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
it's tough.
And because for us, Tony, we come from the criminal justice world, right? So we see both sides of this coin. We're the ones who are called out of our name, and we're just simply trying to help and advocate and make sure that the system is fair for individuals who look like us, right? And then we're also seeing the conditions of our community and the things that we need to stop doing in our own communities, right? But then we see this socialization, and we see the system, the historical, structural, systemic issues that causes our communities to be in this space, right? And so it's like when we approach this young black male who looks like us, who is we walked in those steps, and we say, hey, let me help you. let me be there. Let me be a mentor, whatever the case is. No, yeah, you this, that, and the other. You this, that, and the other. You don't understand. You don't get it. And it's like that's like a slap in our face because we still have to deal with the exact same system that
Yeah.
you work in and that I worked in, right? Even in higher education now, when you're trying to have that conversation and you can sense that they're feeling uncomfortable with sitting there talking with a black educator. Not, and you sense this feeling that they feel more comfortable talking with white educators than they do with a black educator who can relate to them and understand what they've been going through, right? So it's
Hmm.
so we see these challenges, man. So it does cause some burnout. It causes us double burnout. No,
Yeah,
so and
it's
that's a really
terrible
good question.
because we had a diversity thing, and I was trying to like sit back and not say much, and I just kind of snapped like, man, y'all don't get to talk. We get to talk at an early age. And somebody looked at me and was like, well, I gave my kid to talk. And I'm like, you within the minority. Because I know many people that never got to talk. And
Hmm.
we get that talk. Yeah. I've always
It's just
gotten burnt out about being that black guy that's always answering questions. Well, why they do this? Why they do that? And you just get burnt out
and
of the questions.
well, I mean, I guess maybe a larger question is why do we feel like we have to be that person to speak on behalf of other people? I mean, I got to the point where I'm like, I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, I'm not out there. I'm here with you. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I can only speculate what I think they feel. I know what I feel, but the bottom line is that's a lot of pressure to have to speak on behalf of a whole people. And the father of two black boys and two black girls. I mean, of course, these are things that I'm concerned about. But I'm trying not to focus on the evils of the world. I'm having a conversation with my son. I was dropping off his little sister, and he likes to worry. I guess I was gone too long. He called me like 15 times in 15 minutes. You know, and he called his mom. His mama was all panicking, like she ready to come get him. And I came home and had the conversation. And I said, let's not. What were you afraid of? I said, I don't want you
Hmm.
to live in fear, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about I heard some noise, and I asked him to describe the noise. Like, I heard some footsteps and like the floor creaking. I said, I have concrete floors. Floor. I said, what do we need to listen for? Like, if somebody was breaking in, what would it sound like? And then let's focus on what I've told you to do in that situation. I say I
Hmm.
want you to know how to react and respond in the situation versus being fearful of the situation itself. Right? Let's
Hmm.
let's let's let that take over. And so I'm trying to teach them that. Is it the right thing? I have no idea. Time will tell. I pray over my kids every day, but my thing is like that's a lot of pressure for people to come to the only black person in that room and then expect us to speak for people. Like we gonna give a I have a dream speech and somehow get them to understand all of the woes and the pressures. Because chances are they're not going to understand regardless. After we get done talking, they're still gonna be like, oh, okay, and they'll still say, I don't get it, and they'll ask again the next time.
But that's the struggle because then they don't have a voice. We know the voice of the unheard is those riots, is doing different
Hmm.
things. So we give a voice and context to why that occurs. It's hard not to say, not to give factors on why it happened, but you just get
Hmm.
Hmm.
burnt out of answering those questions, man.
Yeah,
But
Hmm. It's
yeah, and that's
true.
what I mean. I'm not saying that we don't speak. We got to. I mean, I'm with you on that. I've had to answer those questions. I just get frustrated with that. Because, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. Like, why are you asking me? I mean, if I give you the answer, the $1 million answer, what you gonna do about it anyway? Are you gonna go down there and go and stand at the city council meeting, and all of that? Or you just wanting to have this dialogue because it eases your mind.
because you know what I mean. I want you to know that I'm not one of them. Okay, I never said you were, but you know what I mean. Like I said, it happens. I was just saying, yeah, I get it. It's stressful to have to keep answering those questions.
Yeah. Brother Whittaker could say it's hard to explain a 400-year issue, right? A 400-year situation. And even probably even before that period, right? And so we're just looking at the founding of this country. We're not considering the impact of slavery or enslavement of black people even before this country was founded. We
Yeah,
just see the results over in this country. Brother Ryan Smith said, "Your time um, well, let me go back. Brother Kevin Kev says stress is worry, period. We are human and we will make mistakes. We will worry about people, places, and things. Everyday life is going to happen, but we have to pray, then push through. Brother Ryan Smith says, your time and your space should never be subject to for others to dictate. That is your true power. The analogy I love to use is we cannot allow any and everyone to um, access to plug into our auxiliary, because allowing them to plug in is not just about what they can take, it's also what they feed into you. Stress is automatic, but it is the stress that builds you, like raising your child, stress that destroys you, like being a part of a domestic violence relationship. Own what belongs to you. And so, and then there was a conversation, the another conversation when we're looking at racial battle burnout, and we're gonna probably get into that conversation. Good, no, and so no, as we think about it, it says that you get tired of having to explain your black frustration with the system. And someone said that's a great point. I think that it's a perception approach because I embrace speaking on behalf of our black men. I was once told that I am not like the group that is feared. But I tell people I do not separate myself from the group because I am and will always be a black man and will always be put in the same situation as the dreadlock brother pulled over. So their fight is still my fight. So it does not stress me because it is necessary. It is as necessary as breathing for me. So yeah,
Thank you,
so that
brothers, for those comments. Everybody, thank you for them comments.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
like I think it was Ryan's point about people, when they plug into you, and that's one thing I'm learning is I can't give everybody access. I want it to be accessible because I mean, I guess at one point in my life that was a source of validation for me, right?
Mm,
I'm the person that can give this level of advice and I can help you with this. And then I realized, okay, I'm drained at the end of it. Y'all feeling better. We just traded places. Or now we equal. I was happy. Then I got the call or email, text message. And now I'm like, well, man, like, why I feel like this? And so I've been learning that, like, some people will tap in because they see your energy and they will drain it. So we have to be careful about that and what we allow um to plug into us
mhm,
in that situation. And that's why I told somebody earlier this week, no is a complete answer. No, all that. That's just that's it. No, nope. Because I've purposely removed the word busy from my vernacular. I will not say that. I will tell a person, they ask me, you want to do something? Let me look at my calendar. No, I won't be able to do that. And if I want to do it, then I'll give them an alternative day. I'll say, well, I got this going on because I realized people were doing that, and I'm like, you called me to ask me to do, and now you busy. Like that don't make
mhm,
sense. Like how all of a sudden you running down a laundry list of this, that, and other because I can't make this specific time. No,
mhm.
you know what I mean. I'm not interested in all that stuff you got to do. So, I mean, it's a learning process.
So, brothers, I want to shift us just a little bit before we close this out and get final thoughts. So, before we do that, I want to know. Let's talk about some strategies, right? Let's talk about some strategies here. What to dealing with burnout?
For me, it is to when I get to that point to continuously try to work out, whether it's to go run, whether it's jumping rope, going to jujitsu. There's times when that's not enough. That if I can pull myself away, I'll get in the car and take a long drive. But it's really just recognizing the signs, and when you feel it, just take some time to yourself. And for me too, it is just throwing some music on, throwing some reggae music on and relax, or just some uplifting, or just even old school Miles Davis kind of blue. Just throw it on and just sit back and just relax.
Mhm.
So those are some of my self-care things. I know some women, they'll have their spa day. For the guys, it may just be, like I say, throw your music on, man. Throw some with some bump to it, throw a movie on, but just your own self-care. It may be that I'm gonna call in work and say I'm not feeling well. Just sleep in. Take a couple of days off. 3-day weekends coming up. Take that Friday
Mhm.
beforehand. So to me, those are some little things that you can do.
I think it's really breaking things down. I think sometimes we look at things a whole lot from a big picture, and it's good to have a big picture plan. It's good to have something forward looking. I want this, that, and the other. But kind of what I've learned is I live within my means, right? Um, and I guess that's why my stress doesn't come from I got this outlandish car note and this house payment. I got to struggle to figure out how to do this and that. It's just being content with what you have. It's been the first thing, for me, because when I got depressed, I had all those things. I was stressed. That's what was causing this. Is I had to figure out pay this house note and pay for both of these
Mhm.
cars and all this other stuff. And like I said, it was not managing that, not having that outlet. So I learned to have outlets, take time for yourself. I have not been balancing like I should. And I recognize that, and that's what's caused to my feeling of burnout. But once I recognize it, I say, okay, now how do I healthily detach from things and people around me, not
Mhm.
to just drop everything and become selfish, because then you're gonna have to deal with that, and everybody's got an opinion, and well, why you do that to me and you didn't, and so it's like, how do I communicate even though I don't have to, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
do it because I want you to know I'm not upset with you, but I need to back off because I can't deal with your issue right now. So
Mhm.
I'm learning how to do those different things, say no, and knowing that no is okay, and being okay. Because I had to tell somebody, I say, if I tell you no, you can keep your reaction to yourself. you
Mhm.
ain't got to share that with me. You gonna be mad at me? That's cool. If you do, just let me know. I'm not gonna fight. You know what I mean? So it's, healthy boundaries, things down, and not be so focused on the picture. You
Sound like your computer getting burned out, man.
Yeah, do. Your computer went. Your internet dropped on you for a little bit.
don't want me to drop this knowledge. That's what it is. It's take
That's what it is. I believe. you know. So I'm. You still kind of sketchy there for a little bit, T. Patrick.
yeah. I don't know what it is, man. Go ahead and take it because it's gonna be dope.
So man, for me, I agree with you. I agree with everything that's said. So self care is important. I think I'm learning that to take our time and not feel stressed with or not feel obligated to actually move at other people time frame, right? And actually take our time to evaluate the situation for myself. No, and see exactly what's what, because sometimes when we're dealing with these issues of burnout, they could be seasonal, right? And they could be the response to other issues that may be present, right? That we're not really addressing. So they could be a historical issue that we're not seeing. And so every season we seem like we go through this point of burnout. And it could be connected to something else that is not necessarily apparent. And so for me, it is critical. It's very critical that I take our time to evaluate and analyze the situation and see exactly what's what. No, and after I kind of analyze it and see what's what and see what the source of it is, then it helps me to direct my attention to how I need to resolve it and what I need to do. Right. Because if it's burnout that's dealing with somebody that's pulling from me, energy from me, or pulling out of me things that I don't necessarily want to give or what have you, or be in that place, then yeah, I need to identify and put them in that place. If it has to do with the job, and maybe some burnout related to the job, then that requires me to reorder and restructure even how I do that job. And maybe what I'm doing is unhealthy. I think one of the strategies that's worked for me is I know we love to fly everywhere, but there's a piece that comes with driving, right? Now, granted, you got to drive to get back, but something about getting in that car and driving and taking a trip, outside of our norm. And so many times I think as African Americans, we go to the same places. All right. Everybody's dream is to go to Jamaica. Everybody's dream is to go to one of the tropical places, or we visit the same places. We'll go to Vegas or we'll go to LA or places like that. But there are so many more serene areas. There is so much more in this country to see. No, just within this country, not to mention outside the country that may not fit in the norm of what everybody is doing. Somebody may ask you, I think one of our fraternity brothers did a bike trip, right? And so some of the places he was sharing, and how many of us have actually seen, when we look at going to see Mount Rushmore or going to some of the Great Lakes and seeing some of the great wonders of nature and things like, see, those are things that help us, because when we go into these spaces and we're just burnt out as it is, and then we go to these other spaces and spend long nights and hanging out and things like that, we're not really helping ourselves. It seemed like we might be, but we come back even worse off than what we came, and then probably broke too, right? And so we really have to find different ways to actually, find different ways in order to reconnect. I believe that just like nature, the body will heal itself, just like the earth will. And if we allow that rest, we allow ourselves to get in a place where we remove ourselves from those stressors, right? Now,
Mhm.
sometimes stressors might be places we can't necessarily remove. We just got to learn to navigate with them. But remove ourselves from those stresses and allow ourselves to regenerate and doing some things that's outside the box, right? Do
Yeah.
some things that's a little bit
And
different. So,
you
And some
said some stuff that just you mentioned seasons. It's like for me, it seems I reconnect usually in the fall. I think in the summer, like I'm ripping and running to get to the next place. And once
mhm,
I start seeing the fall colors on the trees, I don't fly on the highway anymore. I just slow down. I start looking at the beauty of nature. So that's something I do too. Every fall, pretty much starting now, I'm gonna start hitting the highway, go about 5 miles an hour slower, and I just love looking at the trees, the
mhm.
scenery. So that's another thing I do to kind of reconnect.
I thought you was about to say drive 5 miles an hour on the highway. You
Oh
about
no, 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 no.
press. But I mean, I think sometimes it's also realizing that we can reevaluate major life decisions sometimes too. Maybe it's not figuring out how to work in that work environment. If that's the my primary source of stress, maybe it's let me find a way. What's my exit strategy? Is this even worth it? I saw on LinkedIn the other day someone has shared. One of my frat brothers has shared a lady who indicated that she was resigning and not available for hire. Right? She resigned her corporate America's position and said, I'm not going to work. I just want to. I don't know what I'm getting ready to do, but I'm getting ready to just live. And I thought that was cool because apparently she has kids, and so that's gonna be interesting to see how that works. But I'm sure she has a plan. But I mean, I think that's neat to have the opportunity. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure she is financially stable enough to be able to make that decision. And are we positioning ourselves for that, or are we just working to impress other people? Sometimes I see people who on 4 or 5 vacations, and the whole trip is on Instagram or Facebook. So how do you enjoy it? Listen, when I go out of town, I don't post nothing until I get back because one, I want people to know.
Same here.
So that way you ain't paying the house nothing. You know what I mean? So if you see me put pictures of me being somewhere, guess what? I'm already home.
Yeah, that's it. And that's a mindset that I took this last time, man. And it's just slowly because we are. I mean, it, I'm always amazed at the fact that, somebody would do a beautiful dinner for somebody or whatever the case is, and they just posting pictures and everything else. It's like, if you did that for me, then you ain't got to put that out there, right? If I'm doing that for you, then I'm getting my kudos in other places. But that's a whole nother conversation, man. That's for a little bit later on. No, so brothers, we're at the end, man. We're at the end of this really good conversation today, and we appreciate everybody that joined in. You know, we had a lot of conversations on the line. I want to read a couple of them before we let it go, before we get to our final thoughts. It says, um, Brother Brian Smith says, you must be able to consistently unplug from situations that require more of you from others. You must have consistent time based in the feeding into yourself. And that time cannot be shared with others. Selfish is not always bad. Brother Kevin Kev said it says self-care is very vital. I can't do anything or help anyone if I'm not together. For me, I listen to smooth jazz music, get in my space, and relax and meditate. For Brian Smith, he says simple changes exist. It says think about how different you see your drive when you're in the passenger seat rather than behind the wheel. All changes does not have to be major for it will impact but it will impact in a major way. And so Brother Widowmaker said, it helps me to completely remove myself from the situation for a little while, watch a game or a comedy or a movie. So we got some really good strategies out there. Hopefully other individuals are listening in on that. So brothers, we at the end of this moment. So let's start off. Yes, T Bird, talk to us, man. Give us your final thoughts.
I'm gonna leave really my final thought with a comment, and it looks like it's from YouTube, but it says that the disciples were told to get in a boat and go across the lake. They did. A great storm came up. These fishermen feared for their lives. Note that they were exactly where Jesus told them to be. So when we put our faith in God, He'll help us in those stressful situations. He'll help us when we get burnt out. Sometimes we try to take things into our own hands in avenues that are unhealthy. Some people may go to smoking, some people may drink, some people may go toward, smoking weed, which is legal, and alcohol, things like that. But it is getting one back with your creator to help you. And then there's other ways where you can just relax. We talked about the self-care, but self-care I think is really most important, and to pray and to spend time with yourself. So I'm gonna leave my closing thought right there. I appreciate all the comments that everybody's been posting. And like Saint said last week, if y'all want to join and let us know, send an email and join us, because I love hearing you guys' comments that we read. Saint reads, T. Patrick reads. But bring that energy, guys. Y'all have some fantastic comments, and I love it. So y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in with us.
That's what's up, man, for real. So, and as Brother Bird said, hey, we want you on the table. We want to bring you into this conversation. I've been watching Brother Kevin Carroll. We're gonna have to connect with the brothers of ABC and you, and see if we can bring both our groups together and have that conversation. You can't be afraid to come to that table, right? It's just men that's having some good conversation, right? um, Brother T. Patrick, what's going on, man? Talk to us, man. Talk to us and tell us what's those final thoughts.
Well, final thoughts really is, burnout is, again, I feel is inevitable. I mean, we go through periods where that's going to happen. I mean, we set ambitious goals. We, take on too much responsibility. Sometimes it's just an indicator. It's like a check engine light or a fuel light. letting you know that, hey, but we got to pay attention to it, right? Because if you drive on that check engine like too long, you're gonna have some major issues, and that's when you leave. Now you've got to go get some help. So there's nothing like God, space, time, and a good therapist sometimes to help you. Get your tune-ups. You know what I mean. Go in for your service. Your you know 3,000 mile oil change or whatever. Like earlier this summer, I decided, hey, it's time for me to go back for a tune-up. I hadn't been to counseling in a while, but I need to go for a tune-up to make sure that I'm keeping up these healthy habits, right? Because sometimes we'll fall into the hustle and bustle of things, and we don't. And we got to get over the stigma of talking to somebody. Now, sometimes talking open some things that you that's another part. You know what I mean? I had some assignments that I need to do that I've been dragging my feet on because I got to process certain feelings and different things like that, which also was causing some pull on me. So it was just recognizing that, okay, I need to take some time for me, and I'm going to do that. And so and like I said, I walk, I listen to music, I do all of that, but it wasn't enough. I was just getting to the point, like, none of this stuff is helping. None of the stuff I usually do, the outlet, is helping. So I've got to do something different. And so I'm gonna try that. And if that don't work, if getting away doesn't work, then I'm gonna do something else. But the bottom line is, I'm trying to figure out how to do self-care that's not selfish. So just take care of yourselves, see the signs, pay attention, and you know what I mean. Like I say, pull back or communicate, however you handle it. But you got to take care of yourself.
That's it. That's it, man. When we're really thinking about this idea of self care, it's more than a notion, and sometimes we talk about it, but we really have to get to the point to where we truly taking care of ourselves. So, no, and I want to say to the brothers of ABC and you, yes, connect in this next week or two. Right. And so, yes, just be intentional about bringing you all in. You all got a good work going on. You're doing some great things in the city of St. Louis. And so we want to connect. We want to bring you all on, showcase your organization, have some conversation, because I know that the experience that you're bringing in and the efforts that you're doing with housing men and providing that spiritual mentoring and providing that practical lessons, things like that, that's critical. And we need more of that. So yes, connect, real for real, real talk, right? And so when we're looking at, as I get my final thoughts, this thing called burnout is real, right? It impacts all of us. It impacts us in every area of our being, as you saw in the video earlier today. And I thought about replaying it just for a minute, since we got some minute, and I think I will. I'm gonna replay it real quick. It's only a minute and 58 seconds, so you can catch hold to some of the stuff that was shared, right?
Differently in different men. In some cases, it's physical. Recent statistics have shown that 77% of Americans have symptoms, physical symptoms associated with stress. So it might be palpitations, it might be your skin is breaking down, it might be just achiness all over, a lot of physical symptoms. There's emotional symptoms. For men, it's not usually weepiness, it's usually anger, irritability, bad temper, often irrational. You're kind of lashing out at people and people going, whoa, what's that all about? And you can't even explain it either. Mentally, yeah, a lot of men find it really difficult to focus, concentrate, very distracted, often obsessive in their thinking, one thing, round and round and round and round. Negativity. Socially, men withdraw when they are moving along that spectrum of stress, anxiety, burnout, depression. They withdraw from their wives, or children, friendships, become quite isolated. Morally, men become very vulnerable. It's been shown that the part of the brain associated with willpower actually shrinks when we are stressed and depressed and anxious, and therefore you're really vulnerable to temptation. And of course, spiritually as well. All of these things have a knock-on effect, and eventually, yeah, devotional life is suffering, closeness to God, and lack of interest in the church and serving the Lord. So there's a lot of damaging effects, and maybe men might hit one or two of these bases. Some will hit them all, but even if you hit one or two, it's time to take action.
So when we thinking about this, man, this is a critical topic, and it's something that we all need to think about and really take seriously. If you find yourself in a place of burnout, because I know that I have, right, and I know that life has been really overwhelming over the last couple weeks and couple months or what have you. If that's you, if that's you, and you're dealing with this place of burnout, just reach out and get some help. You can reach out to Manhood, No More Hiding, and the Brothers on Manhood Moments. Right, we got places, we have some resources in various areas that we can send you to and refer you to for counseling. Right, it's critical that we get help. We want to catch it at the lowest level. Right, we want to catch it before it destroys our home, before it destroys our relationship, before it destroys our success, before it destroys our relationship with our creator. We want to catch it at the lowest level. Right, and be mindful of this. Do not think that you're less of a man because you want to get help with what you're dealing with. Don't let that trick go into your head. You're more of a man because you're willing to deal with it. You're willing to talk about it. You're willing to think it through. You're willing to take it on head first, right? And not let it control you. So I'm talking to that brother right now who may be dealing with this, right? Once again, no more hiding. Manhood Moments. You can find us every first and third Thursday at 7 o'clock. This is just our way of connecting with the brothers. We're looking for individuals. If you have topics and things like that that you want to share with us, feel free to do so. Shoot us an email at nmh@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you, right? nmhformen@gmail.com. That's where you can reach us. Lord, we thank and praise you for this time. We thank and praise you for the men and the women who have joined us in the conversation today. We believe that it is your will. And so, regardless if it reaches somebody tonight or tomorrow or a month or a year from now, let your word be effective in their life. If they're dealing with burnout, if they find themselves in a place where they're really hurting, where they're really just wrestling within themselves, we pray that you would give them an exit, help them to see that, and through you and through faith and through obedience, that they don't have to be in a condition that they're finding themselves in right now, and that there is a wholeness, there is a wellness that's available for them. I thank you for their success. I thank you for our success and everything that you've helped us to do. We bless your name. We give your name the praise and the glory. This we ask in your holy name. Amen. So remember, my manhood, my mission. We look forward to seeing you in the first week. Talk to you soon.